If you are over 60, I want you to picture the last meal you ate that you truly believed was healthy. Maybe it was a bowl of oatmeal, maybe whole wheat toast, maybe brown rice with a little chicken. Something you chose carefully, something you felt good about. And then, about an hour later, it happened anyway. The heavy eyelids, the fog rolling in behind your eyes. And if you checked your monitor, the number was higher than it had any business being. Here is the part that isn't fair. You didn't reach for candy. You didn't cheat. You did everything you were told to do, and your blood sugar climbed anyway. If that has happened to you, once or 100 times, I need you to hear this, because almost no one says it out loud. The reason usually isn't your willpower, and most of the time it isn't even the food itself. It is one small, invisible mistake, a mistake that happens at nearly every meal. And most people your age have never once been warned about it. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to do 3 things. I'll show you exactly what that mistake is. I'll explain, in plain English, why it hits us harder as we get older. And I'll give you 3 simple changes you can use at your very next meal, without giving up the foods you love. Stay with me, because once you see this, you cannot unsee it. And it may quietly change the way every meal feels, starting today. Let's give this mistake a name, because the moment a thing has a name, it stops having power over you. The mistake is this: eating your carbohydrates alone, and eating them first. Now, I am not going to stand here and tell you that carbohydrates are the enemy. You'll hear plenty of voices online shouting exactly that. It isn't true, and honestly, it isn't kind. Bread, rice, oats, potatoes, fruit. People have eaten these foods safely for thousands of years. They are not poison. The trouble was never that a carbohydrate is on your plate. The trouble is when it arrives in your body alone, and arrives first. Let me show you what I mean with a picture you won't forget. Imagine a long, empty country road. One car comes through, nothing ahead of it. So it speeds faster and faster all the way down. Now imagine that very same road, but this time there are 2 slow trucks rolling along in front. That fast car has no choice. It has to ease off the gas. It still gets where it's going. It simply can't race to get there. That is almost exactly what happens inside of you. When a carbohydrate is the first thing and the only thing to land in your stomach, it turns into sugar and rushes into your blood. Fast. All at once. That rush is what people call a spike. But when there's a little protein, some fiber, a bit of healthy fat already on the road ahead of it, those are your slow trucks. They put the brakes on, the sugar still comes in, it just comes in gently instead of flooring it. Now here's what I really want you to sit with. Think about how most of us actually eat. The toast, nibbled while the eggs are still in the pan. A couple of crackers, because dinner is running late. The bread basket before the meal has even arrived, a bowl of cereal by itself, eaten standing at the counter, a little something sweet in the afternoon, then a little more, then a little more. None of that feels like a mistake. It feels ordinary. It feels completely harmless. And that, right there, is exactly why it stays invisible. It was never one big sin. It's 100 small, everyday moments where the carbohydrate shows up alone, on an empty stomach, with nothing there to slow it down. And if this is already making more sense than anything you've been told in a long time, do me one small favor before we go on. Tap the like button just below this video. Not really for me. It quietly tells YouTube to carry this to one more person over 60 who has been blaming themselves for numbers that were never fully their fault. One tap, and you've helped someone just like you find their way here. Then come right back, because what comes next is the part that finally makes it all click. So let me take you inside and show you what's actually happening, slowly, in plain words. Because I promise you, when you truly understand this, a great deal of the fear goes quiet. When you eat, part of your food breaks down into a simple sugar called glucose. And I want to be clear about something. Glucose is not your enemy. Glucose is fuel. It is the energy that lets you push up out of a chair, walk to the mailbox, lift a grandchild onto your lap. You need it. To actually use that fuel, your body sends out a kind of key. That key is called insulin, and insulin has one job. It unlocks the doors of your cells so the sugar can leave your blood and slip inside, where it gets burned for energy. Now here is what quietly changes for us as the years add up. Those little doors get a bit stickier. The key still works. It just takes more of it and a little more time to get them open. The doctors have a long name for this. They call it insulin resistance. But you don't need the term at all. Just picture an old lock on a familiar front door. It still opens. You just have to work the key a little. So now, put the two pictures together. A flood of sugar, arriving all at once, from a carbohydrate eaten alone, pounding on doors that are already slow to open. The sugar has nowhere to go, so it piles up in the blood, waiting its turn. That waiting is the spike, that heavy, foggy feeling after lunch. That higher number staring back at you from the meter. Do you see it now? It was never that you are weak. It was never a lack of discipline. It was simply that the timing and the company of your food were working against your body instead of working with it. And this is the part that genuinely surprised me when I first learned it. The fix almost never starts by taking foods away. It doesn't begin with a long list of everything you can no longer have. It starts by changing the order and the company of what is already sitting on your plate. Let me show you exactly how. 3 changes, that's all it takes. And the very first one you can use at your next meal today. Change number 1 is the simplest of the 3, and it may also be the most powerful. It is about what goes on your fork first. Before you touch the bread, the rice, or the potato, begin your meal with the vegetables and the protein. The salad, the cooked greens, the chicken, the fish, the eggs, the beans. Eat those first, then a few minutes later, go right ahead and enjoy the starch. Notice what I did not say. I did not say remove anything. Same meal, same food, same plate. You are only changing the order in which you eat it. Why does something this small matter so much? Because those first few bites of fiber and protein are your slow trucks. They get onto the road before the sugar does, so by the time the carbohydrate arrives, the brakes are already on. Let me make it real. Tonight, say you're having grilled chicken, green beans, and a dinner roll. The old way, you butter that roll and eat it first, while everything else cools down. The new way, chicken first, green beans right alongside it, and the roll at the end, when you're already comfortable and full. The exact same dinner. A far gentler rise. And the common mistake to watch for, it's the harmless little starter that's really pure starch. The chips while you wait, the crackers, the bread basket before the food even arrives. Those feel like nothing at all. But to your blood sugar, they are the speeding car on the empty road. Just by saving them for the middle or the end of the meal, you change everything. Change number 2 is about how you build your morning. Because breakfast is where most of us get ambushed. Think about the classic American breakfast. Cereal, toast, juice, a muffin grabbed on the way out the door. It is almost pure carbohydrate, eaten alone, first thing, on a completely empty stomach. It is the spike served at sunrise, so let's rebuild it, gently. The rule each morning is simple. Never let the carbohydrate stand there alone. Always give it a partner, some protein, a little healthy fat, some fiber. In real life, that looks like eggs with your toast, instead of the toast by itself. Plain yogurt with a few berries and a spoon of nuts, instead of the sweetened cup that's really a dessert in disguise. Oatmeal. And yes, oatmeal is perfectly fine, but cooked alongside an egg, or with some nuts and seeds stirred in, instead of oatmeal sitting there all alone. And here's a small gift your body hands you for getting breakfast right. There's something called the second meal effect. A steady, balanced breakfast doesn't only help your morning, it quietly makes your lunch easier on your body too. One good decision, paying you back twice in the same day. The common mistake here is a sneaky one. It's the healthy breakfast that is secretly a dessert. The granola, the flavored instant oatmeal packets, the tall glass of orange juice, the smoothie made of nothing but fruit. They all wear a health halo, but eaten alone, your body handles them a lot like that muffin. Let me pause for just a moment here because I don't want you to lose this. If this is helping, if you would like the next meal and the one after that to feel a little more under your control, then go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Every single week I sit down and walk through exactly this kind of thing. Calm, honest, no scare tactics, no miracle cures. Just plain, doable steps that work for real bodies over 60. Subscribe, and you won't have to come searching for the next piece. It will simply find its way to you. All right. Change number 3. Change number 3 is how you slow the spike without giving everything up. And this is the one that brings the relief, because the message here was never cut it all out. The message is pair it and move a little. First, pair it. Never send a carbohydrate into your body naked. The baked potato gets some protein and a little fat beside it. The rice sits next to beans and vegetables. The fruit comes with a few nuts or a small piece of cheese. That pairing slows the whole thing down. You still get the food you love. Your body just receives a calmer version of it. Second, and this one is almost magic for how simple it is, move a little after you eat. Not a workout, not the gym. Not anything that hurts, just a gentle 10 or 15-minute walk after your meal, around the block, around the backyard, up and down the hallway if the weather's bad. Here's why it works. When you move, your muscles open their own doors and begin pulling sugar out of your blood, without needing as much insulin to do it. A short, easy walk after eating is one of the most powerful things you can do for your numbers. And it doesn't cost you a single penny. The common mistake? Eating, and then sinking straight down into the recliner for the rest of the evening. That is the exact moment the sugar has nowhere to go. So even standing up and doing the dishes is better than dropping into the chair. A few slow laps around the living room count. And now one honest, important word. Please don't skip past this part. If you take medication for your blood sugar, and many of you do, these changes can genuinely work. Which means, over time, your numbers may start to come down. That is wonderful news, but it is news your doctor needs to hear. Please, never change or stop a medication on your own. Bring these habits to your next appointment. Show your doctor your numbers, and let them be the one to adjust anything that needs adjusting. You and your doctor on the same team. That is exactly how this is meant to work. Now let me gently clear away a few things that have probably been quietly wasting your effort for years, because you may have tried some of these, and when they didn't work, you may have felt like the failure. You were not. These approaches were simply never going to carry you on their own. The first one you've heard 1,000 times. Just cut out the sugar. If only it were that simple. Sugar is part of the story, of course. But by now you understand. A plain bagel or a bowl of white rice can raise your blood sugar just as much as a cookie can. So cutting out the candy while still eating your bread alone leaves half the problem standing right there in the room. It was never only about sugar, it's about carbohydrate eaten alone with nothing to slow it down. The second one is the endless chase for the one miracle food. Every week there's a new one, a spice, a juice, a special seed that supposedly melts it all away overnight. So let me tell you the truth, plainly and kindly, no single food fixes this. Some foods do genuinely help, a little, at the edges. But the real power was never hiding inside one magic ingredient. It lives in the order, the pairing, and the small walk, repeated day after day. Ordinary habits beat magic foods every time, every single time. The third one feels so logical that nearly everyone tries it. Skipping a meal to save up, eat less sugar, right? But skipping meals usually backfires. You arrive at the next meal absolutely starving. You eat fast. You reach straight for the quick carbohydrate first. And you end up with a bigger spike than if you had simply eaten on your normal schedule. Steady and regular will always beat skipped and starving. And the fourth one is leaning on the supplement cabinet to do all the work for you. A shelf full of pills and powders, while the meals themselves never change. Some of those may offer a little something, but none of them undo a carbohydrate eaten alone, 3 times a day, every day. No capsule outworks what is actually sitting on your plate. So start with the plate. Always start with the plate. So let me put it all together for you. One simple, ordinary day. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just the foods you already know, arranged so they work with your body instead of against it. Let's start with breakfast. Remember the rule: the carbohydrate never stands alone. So picture 2 scrambled eggs, a single piece of whole grain toast, and a few slices of avocado or a small handful of berries on the side. The protein and the fat are there, holding the door. The toast has company now. That is a breakfast that carries you all the way to lunch, instead of dropping you into a fog by mid-morning. If eggs aren't your thing, here's another. A bowl of plain yogurt, a small scatter of berries, and a spoon of nuts or seeds on top. Simple, steady, done. Now lunch. The order is your friend here. Start with a little salad or whatever vegetables you have on hand. Then your protein. Maybe some leftover chicken, a can of tuna, a scoop of beans. And then, after that, a sensible amount of your starch, a slice of bread, some rice, a few crackers. By the time it arrives, your slow trucks are already out on the road. A real easy lunch, a bowl of vegetable soup to begin, then a tuna or chicken salad, with the bread eaten alongside it instead of first. Filling, familiar, and gentle on your numbers. Dinner follows the very same pattern, because the pattern is the whole secret. Vegetables and protein lead the way. The starch comes after, and it never comes naked. Picture a piece of baked salmon, a generous pile of roasted vegetables, and a small baked potato with a little butter. You eat the salmon and the vegetables first. The potato comes at the end, with that bit of fat right there beside it. A complete, satisfying dinner, and a calm, easy rise instead of a spike. And if you'd like a snack, and there is nothing wrong with a snack, just remember the very same gentle rule. Pair it. An apple with a spoon of peanut butter, a few crackers with a slice of cheese, a small handful of walnuts. That pairing turns a quick spike into a slow, steady release. Now look back at what we just did across that whole day. We didn't ban a single food. Nothing was forbidden. Nothing was off limits. We simply changed the order. We gave every carbohydrate a partner. And maybe, here and there, we took a short, easy walk afterward. That is the entire plan. It really is that doable. And that brings me to the most important thing I will say to you today. So let it land softly. The goal here is not to eat perfectly. Please hear that. Perfect is a trap. Perfect is exhausting. And nobody on this earth eats perfectly. The goal is so much simpler and so much kinder than that. The goal is to make each meal just a little more predictable for your body. That's it. A little more steady, a little more gentle, a little more in your hands than it was yesterday. You will have days where the bread comes first, where the dinner roll wins, where the dessert appears and you enjoy every single bite of it. That is not failure. That is being a human being. You simply return to the pattern at the very next meal. No guilt. No starting over from zero. Just the next meal, done a little better than the last, because this was never about one heroic change. It is about a small, ordinary thing, the order, the pairing, the short walk, repeated quietly, day after day, until it stops being a rule you have to follow and simply becomes the way you eat. And you can begin at your very next meal. Not Monday, not next month, the next time you sit down at the table. Vegetables and protein first. Give the carbohydrate a partner. Maybe a few slow laps around the room afterward. That's all there is to it. You already know how now. Now, before you go, I'd love to hear from you. And so would everyone else watching this. Tell me down in the comments which meal of the day sets off your hunger or your blood sugar the most. Is it breakfast? That afternoon slump? The long stretch late at night? Write it below. I read these, and the truth is, your honest answer often helps someone scrolling right past who feels exactly the same way and thought they were the only one. So don't be shy. Share it. And if these few minutes gave you even a little more peace about your next meal, then please don't stop here. There is another video waiting for you, right on this screen, chosen to be your perfect next step. Go ahead and tap it now, before life pulls you away and the moment slips by. You showed up for yourself today. That matters more than you know. So keep that going. Your next step is right there, one tap away. I'll see you in the next one.